Now, our next session is a very, very special one. We'll be introducing to you to the heartbeat of GradRight, our students. So please give a huge round of applause as we welcome on stage Aaryan Bhardwaj. Our next guest today is Sai Preetham Goud, Prakruti P. Kumar. We also have Deepak joining us. This session is moderated by our very own Tuheena Raj, who's a senior brand manager at GradRight.
Okay, great. So today's session, this one that I'm doing, is mostly for my understanding. I'm somebody who's done her bachelor's and is looking to do her master's, and who better to ask than people who are in the journey or have experienced it firsthand. So we have a diverse group of panel. We have Prakruti, we have Sai, we have Aaryan, and we have Deepak. And my questions are going to be very straightforward. They are going to be your questions. So whatever I ask is going to be things that you probably wanted to ask them. So starting with Aaryan. Aaryan, you have a very interesting background. You started with your undergraduate in German studies and then went on to do a dual degree at Willamette University. And you are doing your MBA and MS together, which is absolutely fantastic. So how did you actually choose your course?
I've always been involved in positions in at associations, stuff like that. So always enjoyed managing teams, working with people. So I knew that kind of path I can take. So MBA was always on cards for me. So when I went, I was looking for colleges. I was in the US. I was very particular about that. I wanted to be in Pacific Northwest, which is like Oregon and Washington. So I looked for the universities in that area, found Willamette, applied, and got accepted into. I went initially just for the MBA, but then I took stuff. There's a mandatory data analysis class in the first semester. Really enjoyed it. Got to see how, how Excel is very important for every manager. I just figured R or Python might be like that in 10 years. So I was like, okay, I really enjoyed this. I can see myself doing it. So I just applied. I got pretty good grade in that class. So based on that, I got accepted into MS Data Science as well. And it's very interesting. It gets a little bit hectic because you got to take like 19 credits every semester, but it's fun. Yeah.
Interesting. Interesting. Coming to you, Prakriti, I actually wanted to ask you, how do you think financing plays into your selection of a course at a university? Because we understand that the ecosystem is not the most helpful. And of course, there is a barter or a trade off that happens when we're trying to see if it's financially something that makes sense or if it's a course that's your dream course and of your interest. So, how did you find that right balance?
Yeah, thank you, Tuheena, for that question. I think in terms of finances, it does plays a huge role, right? And for most of us, at least when we start out, when we start looking at universities, we tend to look at the coursework, we tend to look at professors, we tend to look at the cohort. But what we don't really pay attention to is, okay, what is this costing me? And whether you can get, everyone talks about ROI. What is the outcome of this particular program? And that journey for most people starts off very late. And that also plays in because the courses that you pick, the same course might cost very differently in different universities. For whatever reasons, right? It can be a public university, it can be a private university, and which is why the costs are so different. In my journey, I think for me, university played the most important part, and finances came a little later on. But I wouldn't really suggest going down that route because it has to go hand in hand. You have to look at your finances while you are looking at universities because you have to cater your masters or whatever you plan to do, whether it's an MBA or an MEM, according to what you want. It's not a one size fits all.
Definitely. And how do you think that you went about your journey like that? Like, were there partners or were there people that you reached out to or were there peers who guided you through the journey? How did that happen?
Yeah, so when I initially started out, I wanted to do an MBA. Like, that's the most common thing. And then I started researching and I'm like, oh, maybe this is not for me. And then I started looking at MIM programs, and most MIM programs are very popular in Europe. That again was a lot. It was a lot to do with research, management research. And once I did my research on that, I'm like, okay, this is not for me again. That is when I looked at MEM programs. One stark difference between an MBA versus an MEM is the cost. Your cost for an MEM program is almost 50%, 60% of what you would pay for an MBA, right? And it's also a STEM program. So my journey, that's how I landed from wanting to do an MBA and then actually graduating with a master's in engineering management.
Lovely, that sounds great. So coming to Sai, how many of you here know Sai? Sai is a very popular study abroad in education content creator, and we're very thrilled to have him here. Sai, I have a lot of questions for you, especially to understand that you interact with students on a one-on-one basis. They DM you, they ask you questions, you create content around this space very frequently. What is your understanding? How do you make sure that there is no information asymmetry in what you're sharing, and you're making sure that the information relevant to a student reaches them at the right time?
So, first of all, thanks for the question, Tuheena. It was a great question. And first of all, good afternoon to everybody. Thanks everyone for coming in. So coming to the question, you told me, so a student asked me a question and how I, contemplate it, comprehend it and give him the right answer, which might help him. So first of all, I believe in transparency. So I believe in transparency and I tell him anything and everything that is relevant to it. Be it legal, illegal, be it anything that can be talked or cannot be talked. Many of the master students get this, what I'm talking about. So whenever he asks you questions, I try to understand if he knows, is it his question or is he asking somebody else's question? So by that way, half of the job is done, because if he's not asking his question, there's no point answering him because he wouldn't understand it anyway. So that's why, like, I make sure that I give him my experience, like how I went through the struggle in the master's journey, and I give him like all of the insights and inputs that which I went through, and I also take references from my friends. Not only my journey, but I also use reference as my friend's journey, because see, if he might have a question in pharmaceutical background, because I am from an IT background, I cannot answer his question. But I have a friend who does pharmaceutical background, who is in healthcare. So I definitely, try to ask my friend that so and so question is there. So how do I answer this? So I get help from him as well. So I don't hesitate from getting help from anybody or everybody. So that way I make sure that the student gets his answer at the end of the day, because a student needs to be clarified enough for him to move ahead. Otherwise he's stuck at that place looking for answers. Bhatak jata hai wo. So yeah, that's what it is.
Wow, great. Moving to you, Deepak, I wanted to ask you, you've had a great academic record, like you went to IIT Madras, then you went to Georgetown University. Now you have your own venture. For most people who do a master's, a straightforward path is to get a job. A lot of financing decisions are based on that. A lot of selection decisions are based on that. Why this unusual path, and why do you think your master's still sort of helps you in the journey?
First of all, thank you, Tuheena, for the question. I'm a bit unwell, so pardon me for that. So,
Hold the mic closer, I think
yeah.
that'll help.
So after my MBA, as a matter of fact, I did not come directly to India and start the venture. There is a reason why I started the venture. My father owns 2 schools, and I have studied in the same schools from my childhood. నేను స్కూల్లోనే పుట్టి పెరిగాను, స్కూల్లోనే చదువుకున్నా మొత్తం అంతా. So I wanted to do something for the education industry. That's point number 1. But when I went for my MBA, obviously I've taken a huge loan. MBA in Georgetown, DC, Washington, DC is super expensive. So I've taken a massive loan. So I have done a job with Amazon for 4 years. Primarily 2 reasons. One, experience, because I know I wanted to do something in the future. So Amazon experience is something that I definitely had a lot of fun with. And 2, I need to pay off my debts. So these are the two things that I have chosen. But on top of it, the experience at Georgetown as an MBA student, and I have also done an exchange program and went to Barcelona to do one semester there. So I've talked to so many people around the world and how their education, they have had their schooling, etc. Right? So that has given me so much more exposure to global education. సో ఆ ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్ అంతా నాకు చాలా హెల్ప్ అయింది. ఇప్పుడు నేను ఒక కొత్త స్కూల్ లాంచ్ చేసి దాంట్లో ఒక ప్రోగ్రెసివ్ ఎడ్యుకేషన్ తీసుకురావాలి అనే ఈ ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్, ఐ థింక్ ఐ హ్యావ్ నాట్ థాట్ ఆఫ్ ఆల్ ఆఫ్ దీస్ ఎక్స్పీరియన్సెస్ వైల్ ఐ వాజ్ యాక్చువల్లీ గోయింగ్ త్రూ. బట్ ఇప్పుడు వెనక్కి తిరిగి చూస్తే ఇవన్నీ ఎక్స్పీరియన్సెస్, దీస్ ఆర్ హెల్పింగ్ మీ అ లాట్ in progressing my school in a very better way.
Fantastic. I just want to ask you a quick question before we dive into more. If you were all to describe your master's journey with one movie title, what do you think that will be? Wow, I've just caught them off guard. But like anything, is it easy? Is it tough? What do you think about it?
Here, Tuheena, I wouldn't describe my master's journey with a movie title, but that's a bit far. But I would say that I watched a movie on Amazon Prime that's named Illegal.
Okay.
So I watched it before going to the US. So that's the journey of a student who went to the US in the legal way and started living the life the illegal way. Like, it showed the pros and cons of the student life. And that was a movie which triggered me, and it also gave me the textbook reference, like how to go about in the master's life, like what all can I face. So భయ్యా ఒకవేళ మీరు అమెజాన్ ప్రైమ్లో ఇల్లీగల్ అని మూవీ చూడండి, లైక్ మీకు అర్థమవుతుంది యూఎస్లో ఎట్లుంటుంది లైఫ్ అనేది, లైక్ ఎవరెవరు ఏం చేస్తారు. పార్డన్ మీ బికాస్
Please go.
సో ఐ వాజ్ సేయింగ్ దెమ్ కి ఇల్లీగల్ మూవీ దేఖో అండ్ యూ విల్ అండర్స్టాండ్ ఎవ్రీథింగ్, like a lot of things. So if I were to describe my master's journey in one movie title, I will save it for later.
All right, all right. One question open to all of you. How much do you think your friends group or your peers, influence your decision of doing a master's? Any one of you could take that.
Hello. Yeah. Quite a lot, actually.
Yeah. And the right person's chosen to answer this.
More than it should.
Yeah.
Because, coming from IIT, you see a lot of people just, going for masters. So you also tend, okay, my friends are all doing it. The first 2 rows usually does that. So, okay, they are doing it, so we should also probably look for something. Everybody goes to a CAT class. So it's like, okay, maybe now is a time that we should also go for a CAT class or a GMAT class or a GRE class. So that's how the decisions were taken. I think, sessions, institutes or organizations like these were not known to me earlier. So, more awareness should be there for all of the students here. And I wish all the best to all of the students here. You're definitely getting much more awareness. So I would really suggest not to have such influences around. If they are good, yes, consider them, but understand your interest as well and see whether they are aligning with that, and then go for your interest is my
Right.
Yes, actually, that's what I think as well. Like, he was very right about it. So, my personal experience, if I give it to you, like, I have had so many references in my life. Like, my mother's side, all of her cousins are in the US right now.
Okay.
So that was kind of a factor which,
Yes, yeah.
like drove me, like every once in a while she talks about, my parents are over there, by the way. So every once in a while she, brings up the topic, because if you go to family functions or anywhere, like the topic somehow comes up, they will talk about it.
Yes.
So with this atmosphere, in the Indian atmosphere, like 100% it will be affected by that. But as my friend said, Deepak, I appreciate, that was a great answer actually. Like, we should not take it, we should not take it to our mind. If it is okay, like if you need to accept it, if you think that is good, if you think that is right for you, then only go for it. Don't do it for the sake of peer pressure or else cousin pressure.
Sure.
Just to add on to that, I feel the community or even like the friends group, right? Not just influence what you want to do. Of course, it's gonna influence in terms of, okay, I want to do my master's. But once you go there, especially when you go to a foreign country, you're going to be by yourself. And when you're looking for a job, these are the guys that are actually going to support you, that they are going to be there, you know, in terms of moral support and mentally be there for you, because it's hard. Don't want to romanticize it. Because unlike here, when you're looking for a job anywhere outside the country, you have to be proactive. You have to reach out to people, right? One thing that really worked great for me is the cohort that I had, the friend circle that I had, because we all used to share any job opening that was there. We would share it on a group. We had a common group. We would all apply for it. We would prep together, and that's, you know, that's how we all supported each other. And not just this, I think it also influences what you want to do. When I went into my master's program, I had zero clue about what I wanted to be. I just knew, okay, I want to be in tech. I want to solve customer problems, but what exactly does that mean, right? And eventually, when I started my program is when I got to know about product management. That's how I got to know there are so many aspects, so many things that you could do if you wanted to be in tech and solve customer problems. So I think it matters a lot, and it is super, super important to have a good circle of friends that can support you through and through.
Absolutely. Aaryan, I think you wanted to contribute. Yeah.
Very quick point that one thing you should get from that, like a lot of my friends are like
If you
all
could
over
hold the
the
mic
world.
closer, that will be really
All over the world. So what I get from that, like confidence, like, okay, they are doing it, I can do it. We all went to the school together, right? We all worked hard. We all studied together. We know about their grades. So what my takeaway was the confidence. They're all right. I got this. I can get the scholarships. I can do the everything. So yeah.
understandably so, because a huge investment in terms of finances, time, passion, energy. So might as well think through those decisions really well. And of course, there is no doubt a network of people that you need, that you can fall back on in a foreign country, as you said, Prakruti. Um, if you all could now just give one piece of advice to everyone who's here, you understand that these are people looking to go abroad, looking to go to the US, to do their masters. What is the one key piece of advice that you would like to give them?
You are your only support. You are the first support you can have. So you need to be stronger. Like you need to be more vigilant. Like ఒకటే like if I have to say ఒకటే భయ నీకు నువ్వే ధైర్యం నీకు నువ్వే సాటి నీకు నువ్వే పోటీ సో చెప్పేది తలుచుకున్నది ఏంటంటే ఫస్ట్ ఆఫ్ ఆల్ మనము అనేది చాలా స్ట్రాంగ్ ఉండాలి ఒక పర్సన్ లాగా దాని తర్వాత ఆ కాన్ఫిడెన్స్ అనేది బిల్డ్ చేసుకోవాలి సో ఒకవేళ ఇఫ్ యు ఆర్ స్ట్రాంగ్ అండ్ కాన్ఫిడెంట్ స్ట్రాంగ్ ఇన్ ద మైండ్ అండ్ కాన్ఫిడెంట్ ఇన్ ద బ్రెయిన్ 100% మీకు యుఎస్ కాదు మీరు వరల్డ్ ఏ కంట్రీలో బతకొచ్చు దట్స్ వాట్ ఐ థింక్ లైక్ కాన్ఫిడెన్స్ మ్యాటర్స్ అండ్ యు ఆర్ యువర్ ఓన్ స్ట్రెంగ్త్ లైక్ just capitalize on yourself, bank on yourself, bank on your skills, bank on your networking, bank on whatever you got in store for yourself.
Got it. Aaryan?
Um, I would say know yourself. It's very important to knowing yourself, what you want. Else life would be very hard, because if you're looking for a job and you don't know what you want, there's so many options, consulting, venture capital, everything looks like really a good job to you. Or I'm just saying in one thing, but knowing yourself would be very helpful. Also knowing where you want to end up within the USA, if you can research that, if you can relate to that, say if you want to be in finance, probably East Coast, tech, West Coast, stuff like that, that will help a lot. And finally, like, have confidence in yourself. You got this.
All right. Deepak?
I want to add on to his point. When you're knowing yourself, I also want you to keep in mind, all of these loans are there until the loans are cleared off. Yeah, you have some duty to clear off that loan, and it is obviously beneficial for you to work in the foreign countries to clear off that loans at a faster pace. But once that is cleared off, there is also an option to come back to India. India needs more talent. And
Yeah.
there are so many opportunities. I'm sure if you go around Hyderabad, you would understand how much of opportunities we all have. So that is also one very good thing. మన ఫ్యామిలీ దగ్గర ఉంటాము అందరు ఫ్రెండ్స్ ఇక్కడ ఉంటారు it is a lot more fun than that I have here in India than what I used to have there. In terms of money also, the startups here in India are paying very good salaries comparable to that on the US. So there is a lot of reasons why you can also, have this in your back of your mind. This is not, I'm not telling you to think of this immediately after your MBA or Masters. I understand there are some financial constraints. Post that, you may think of this much.
Makes sense. Good to always have your options open. Prakruti?
I think first of all, it takes a lot of courage to make this decision to actually go abroad and study. So you guys are brave, and that's amazing. One advice or one suggestion is please be proactive. A lot of times we hold ourselves back, thinking that it might not be okay to ask someone for a referral. It might not be okay to ask someone to be a part of their team. It definitely is. So please be proactive, put yourselves out there. It's going to be uncomfortable, but that's when the maximum growth happens. Not just personally, but even professionally. You're going to meet amazing people and you're going to come out stronger, like all of them mentioned. So congratulations on making that first step, I guess.
Right, and dig deep, dream big. I think that brings us to the end of the session. I just checked the time. We're out of time already. Thank you so much for your valuable insights. I'm sure each one of us here has learned something and will remember something in their journey of doing this wonderful, wonderful masters in the US. Thank you, everybody.